Hello everyone, my name is Viola. It's my honor to have a class here. Today, we will talk about memory. Before we start our class, let me show you a short video.
Yesterday, I was out on the street in front of this building, and I was walking down the sidewalk, and I had company. Several of us, we were all abiding by the rules of walking down sidewalks. And we're not talking to each other, facing forward, moving. When the person in front of me slows down, I'm watching. He slows down. Finally, he stops. That wasn't fast enough for me. So I put on my turn signal, and I walked around him. And as I walked, I looked to see what he was doing. He was doing this. He was texting. He couldn't text and walk at the same time. Now, we could approach this from a working memory perspective or from a multitasking perspective. We're going to do working memory today. Now, working memory is that part of our consciousness that we are aware of at any given time. You're doing it right now. It's not something we can turn off. If you turn it off, it's called a coma. Okay? So right now, you're doing just fine. Now, working memory has four basic components. It allows us to store some immediate experiences and a little bit of knowledge. It allows us to reach back into our long-term memory and pull some of that in as we need it. Mixes it, processes it, in light of whatever our current goal is. Now, the current goal isn't something like I want to be president or the best surfer in the world. It's more mundane. I'd like that cookie. I need to figure out how to get into my hotel room. Now, working memory capacity is our ability to leverage that. Our ability to take what we know, what we can hang on to, and leverage it in ways that allow us to satisfy our current goal. Now, working memory capacity has a fairly long history, and it's associated with a lot of positive effects. People with high working memory capacity tend to be good storytellers. They tend to solve and do well on standardized tests, however important that is. They're able to have high levels of writing ability. They're also able to reason at high levels. So what we're going to do here is play a little bit with some of that. So I'm going to ask you to perform a couple tasks, and we're going to take your working memory out for a ride. You up for that? Okay. I'm going to give you 5 words. I just want you to hang on to them. Don't write them down. Just hang on to them. 5 words. While you're hanging on to them, I'm going to ask you to answer 3 questions. I want to see what happens with those words. Here's the words: tree, highway, mirror, Saturn, electrode. So far, so good. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to tell me what the answer is 23 times 8. Just shout it out. In fact, it's exactly. All right. I want you to take out your left hand, and I want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a neurological test, just in case you're wondering. All right. Now, what I want you to do is to recite the last 5 letters of the English alphabet backwards. You should have started with Z. All right. How many people here are still pretty sure you've got all 5 words? Okay. Typically, we end up with about less than half, right? Which is normal. There'll be a range. Some people can hang on to 5, some people can hang on to 10, some will be down to 2 or 3. What we know is this is really important to the way we function. It's going to be really important here at TED because you're going to be exposed to so many different ideas. Now, the problem that we have is that life comes at us, and it comes at us very quickly. And what we need to do is to take that amorphous flow of experience and somehow extract meaning from it with a working memory that's about the size of a pea. Now, don't get me wrong, working memory is awesome. Working memory allows us to investigate our current experience as we move forward. It allows us to make sense of the world around us. But it does have certain limits. Now, working memory is great for allowing us to communicate. We can have a conversation, and I can build a narrative around that, so I know where we've been and where we're going and how to contribute to this conversation. It allows us to problem solve, critical think. We can be in the middle of a meeting, listen to somebody's presentation, evaluate it, decide whether or not we like it, ask follow-up questions. All of that occurs within working memory. It also allows us to go to the store. It allows us to get milk, eggs, cheese. But what we're really looking for is Red Bull, bacon. Got to make sure we're getting what we're looking for. Now, a central issue with working memory is that it's limited. It's limited in capacity, limited in duration. We tend to remember about 4 things. It used to be 7, but with functional MRIs, apparently it's 4. We were overachieving. All right. Now we can remember those 4 things for about 10 to 20 seconds unless we do something with it. Unless we process it, unless we apply it to something, unless we talk to somebody about it. When we think about working memory, we have to realize that this limited capacity has lots of different impacts on us. Have you ever walked from one room to another and forgotten why you're there? You do know the solution to that, right? You go back to that original room. Okay? Right? Have you ever forgotten your keys? You ever forgotten your car? You ever forgotten your kids? Okay? Ever been involved in a conversation and you realize that the conversation to your left is actually more interesting? Alright? So you're nodding.
Okay, let's back to our class. The person in the video said we always forget something. But today our class will introduce some method to remember more things. It's benefit for our study and also benefit for our life. It's innovative memory method. Here's our outline. First, I will introduce the memory and I will give you some specific information about memory. What's going next? We will talk about some psychology theories about James Piaget. After that, I will give you a successful example about an education company using this kind of method. Last, we will make a conclusion about what we learned for today. Introduction of memory. In psychology, memory is the process in which information is encoded, stored, and retrieved. And the main function of the memory is encode, stored, and retrieved information. And the psychologists divided the memory process into several steps. They think that when we accept some information from nature, our brain will store the information in our sensory store. Then our brain selects some important information and transform it in the short-term store. And the most important information will store in a long-term store. And the information lasts for a very long time, for months, for years, even for one's whole life. This is a psychologist, and his name is James Piaget. He was born in 1896 and died in 1980. He had a lot of psychology theories, and most of his psychology theory, cognitive constructivism theory, is very widely used, especially in education. He thinks that our cognition process should be divided into 4 steps. First is schematism. The second one is assimilation. And the third step is new structure. And last stage is balance. When we first met this academic word, we may be unfamiliar with it. Now, I will make a simple way for you to realize it. When we occur something in our daily life, our brain will grab some information and shape a knowledge map in our brain. And then, after that, every day we know something new, and our brain will grab the new things and put it into the right place to our knowledge map. Then the map became a changed map. All the structure became balanced. A lot of psychologists and educators use this kind of psychology theory. And a very famous education company, which called New Oriental Education, is famous for his method. They think that we can remember words based on different categories because we always shape the knowledge map based on our knowledge structure. So if we divided the information into different certain categories, it's benefit for us to put the information into the right place in short time. It should be efficient, more efficient than we use it when we remember things in order. The second, they think that we should remember words using synonyms. Because the synonyms we have same pronunciation, it's more benefit for us to connect the words and may give us some us some convenience to realize the word. Third, they think that we could remember words using similar sounds and imagination. They said that the more crazy thing you imagine it, the more things you will remember. This is a book from New Oriental Company, and this book, as I said before, they divided the words into different categories. For example, they list the words that this kind of words can use to describe people, and that kind of word can use to like color, or use in life, use in school, and how to register in schools. This is also a book from New Oriental Company. They using root association memory method supplements and synonyms and vivid illustrations. Give you some examples in this book. They said some word start with a means not, like, and normal means not normal. Some words start with anti means against, like anti-war means against war. Antibody means against body, like some cells against body. Some words start with hyper means too much. Hypersensitive means too much sensitive. Last part, I'll explain why I choose Easy to capture my lecture, because first of all, it is free. We can easily find this software through the internet. It says that I really like the function of this software because, like I showed you before, we can use pencil to underline or circle. And we can also add some pictures and videos in our lecture. Last part is that it is very easy to use. We just know that, and we just set up the things we want to use and put on the enter of record. We can do everything we want to do, and the computer and will capture the things we'll do. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.